Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about what is and is not communication, and we're going to come up with our working definition. Now, in the world of communication scholars, there are probably close to 100 definitions of communication. We rarely completely agree on what definition to use, but we will have a working definition for our class. And I hope as you go through this semester that you'll reflect yourself on what definition you would want to use and debate a little bit about what should be in that definition and what should not be included. So the definition we're going to use for our class is that communication is simultaneously sharing and creating meaning through human symbolic interaction. So let's break that down a little bit. Let's first start with simultaneous. It is two-way communication. You are sending and you are receiving communication at the same time. So it is simultaneous. You are creating meaning through the words, the actions, our facial expressions, creating meaning. And this really allows us to figure out our world and make sense of our world. We do this by interacting with others, by interacting with things, even interacting with ourselves. When we talk with ourselves, we're figuring out the world. We're creating that meaning for ourselves. Communication is also through human symbolic interaction. So the human part is important here. You may ask your dog to go fetch the newspaper, and your dog comes back with the newspaper, and that's super cool. But that's not the kind of communication we're going to talk about in this class. We are focused on human communication. Symbolic interactions. Everything we use, every word we use, even nonverbal, is a symbol. And the meanings of those symbols lie in people, not in the words. So if I held up right now a picture of, let's say, a church steeple, a cross on a church, that would have very different meanings for all of us. For some of us, it would show our deep faith. For others, it may evoke sad memories of perhaps attending a grandparent's funeral. For some students, it wouldn't mean anything. You know, perhaps you're atheist, perhaps you don't have a faith, maybe religion just isn't important, and so it doesn't really mean anything to you. But that one symbol has meaning that we've created and applied to that symbol. So we decide what the meanings are going to be. And this varies from culture to culture. There could be a symbol or a word in one culture that could mean something very different in another culture. And that's why we study cultural communication in this class. So another question that gets debated among scholars is, do you have to have a receiver? If I go out in my backyard in the middle of the night and I holler and nobody hears me, is that communication? Again, scholars debate this. I personally would say yes, because even if nobody heard it, I was in my backyard in the middle of the night, and clearly whatever I was hollering was something that I needed to either get off my chest, I wanted to do some interpersonal, communication with myself, but it's debatable. Intentional and unintentional is another really fascinating part of communication in which scholars completely disagree upon. So if let's say in the middle of this video, I yawned. I didn't mean to, I just yawned in the middle of it. Is that communication? Am I sending you a message? Is it really intentional? Did I really mean for that message to come across? And what do we do with that? There are two elements to communication. One is content and one is relational. So if I were to say to my 17-year-old daughter, clean your room before you go out tonight, the content of that message is clean your room and do it by this deadline. That's the content, okay? The relational side is my relationship with her. For example, is this the 800th time that I've told her to clean her room? So I'm going to have an authoritative voice. I'm going to have a demanding voice. Maybe we were just joking about it a few minutes ago, and it's like, remember, clean your room. It depends on the relationship. Okay, so you have content and you have relational, and those two are definitely a part of all of the communication that we do. There are 5 types of communication that we are going to talk about in this class. The first one is intrapersonal. That is communication that you have with yourself. There is interpersonal. That's communication with just 2 people. And we also refer to that as dyadic communication. We have small group, which would be 3 to 20 people. 20 is kind of on the big end, but enough so that everyone in that group can communicate. Public is 1 to many. So when you're giving your speeches in this class, you'll be doing public communication because you are speaking to a larger group. And mass is where it goes out to millions of people. So this is like social media, television, Twitter, the things that communicate out to absolutely millions and millions of people. So that is what is and is not communication. Thanks.